All right. Hello, everyone. How you doing today? Hope you're all having a great Monday. We're here to talk some Warzone. For the people who don't know me, I am Fizzer. I am the creator of this game, Warzone. No, not that Warzone. This Warzone. We're here to talk about update. There was an update just a few days ago, 5.36. We're going to go over everything that's doing that. We're going to answer all the questions from the community. We got a nice thread full of questions here. Plus, if you have any questions and you're here live, feel free to leave them in chat. I am here to answer your questions. Ad blocker doesn't work on Twitch. Is there a way for me to disable ads on my Twitch channel? I don't want any ads. I would disable them if I can. I don't know if I have that ability, or if that's just part of the Twitch tax. Anyway, how y'all doing? Hope you're having a good Monday. I hope you are had a good weekend and are ready to enjoy a week of Warzone. And I like to give a little background about myself at the beginning of every stream, because some people are going to be watching this for the first time. Probably can't disable ads, but if you could, that would be nice. I agree, that would be nice. So I have been working on this game since 2008. What is that? 13 years? No, math is hard. Long time. Longer than I can count. I've been working on this game for the majority of my adult life, and I hope to continue working on the rest of my life. This is my passion project. It is an indie game. I am the only person that makes the game. And we have a new update just a few days ago, version 5.36. By the way, I want to talk a bit about timing of updates. So those of you who have been paying attention recently have been seeing we've been having pretty regular updates. I think it was like a month for between 5.35 and 5.36. And then I think it was like 3 weeks before that was 34, and 3 weeks before that was 33. I hope to do pretty regular updates in the foreseeable future. This one was a little bit longer than normal because I haven't told many people this, but I had a wedding just 2 weeks ago. I've actually been married since last year, but I had my wedding 2 weeks ago. So there was a lot of setup and tear down and preparation and stuff that went into that. Thankfully, it's all over now. But if you're wondering why this update was it was about 4 weeks for this update, which is pretty good pace-wise, but maybe it has a little bit less in it than a normal update would. Thank you on the congratulations. There was a lot that had to go into preparing for the wedding and stuff. I didn't talk about it on stream beforehand because I don't know, just generally a private person. I also didn't want like internet trolls to crash my wedding. Thankfully, did not happen. I kept it a secret. Now that it's over, I don't mind talking about it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's good to see a bunch of friends and family in the same place. But as far as timing of updates goes, I think generally my goal, and this is a very, very loose goal, my goal is to do like 12 updates a year, so approximately on average one a month. Like major normal updates, like a .535 or 5.36. I originally, a long time ago, back when this game was brand new, over 10 years ago, my goal was one update every 3 weeks. And I think part of that is you don't want updates too often because there is some overhead in doing an update. You have to do like a full test pass, or I have to do a full test pass. Make sure that I'm not shipping anything completely broken. And plus, especially with the app stores now, it's a lot more work because you got to submit stuff for review, and you got to go through a whole review process with both Apple and Google. So you don't want to do updates too often or you end up losing efficiency. At the same time, I didn't want to do updates too far apart because if updates are too far apart, then people get tired waiting for the update. Plus, if people report a bug to me or a small feature that I can add quickly, I like to be able to deliver that to them in a reasonable time frame. I don't want them to have to wait 6 months. Like if you make a feature, sometimes if somebody submits something to the feature request form, which we will get into later, but sometimes somebody submits something to the feature request form and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I didn't think of that. I'm going to do that immediately. And if updates are 6 months apart, then the person still has to wait 6 months before they get that feature. So I think about one a month is the approximate cadence I go for. It's never going to be exact because, honestly, I ship updates as soon as they're ready. I never hold on to them. I like to be like, all right, it's done. Let's ship it immediately. And if it's, I also don't want to ship things before it's ready. It's super buggy and stuff. So, yeah, the timing is going to be irregular, but I think approximately 12 a year, I think, is a good amount. Hope you keep Warzone according to the prenup. Yes, it's fine. So yeah, that's about timing of updates. I hope that's good timing for people. Hope they like. Have you ever considered providing an overnight beta build? Perhaps weekly beta release? So one of the problems with that is Warzone is primarily, well, so the website is the server. So as soon as features are ready, they get deployed to the server. And if it's ready for public to consume it, basically everyone's going to get it. It's not like a single player game that happens entirely offline on your own computer, where I could provide builds like that. It's a server-based game, so that kind of makes that more difficult. Thank you for the congratulations. Yeah, so let's talk about 536. So 536 has something, style refresh. We actually have UI updates. This is actually something that people have been asking me for a long time. I do very frequently get people emailing me saying, you should update the UI, which I don't really like it when people email me and just say, update the UI, because that's very ambiguous. I don't exactly know what they mean when they say that. I don't know if they're asking for like styling changes like this, where things just look different. Or I don't know if they mean like, hey, I want buttons to be in different locations, or I want fewer clicks to do this task that I do a lot, or, you know, something's organized poorly. Because UI update can mean a lot of different things. In fact, I've been doing UI updates in pretty much every update for years. Like, you guys will know that the, the opponent's cards dialogue got a big UI update recently. I never hear anyone talking about this. This dialogue where you can see what cards your opponent has used to be like you had to click on each opponent and view them one at a time. Now you can just kind of see them all at once. The settings dialogue a few months ago got a big UI update. This is significantly improved. It used to be split into two different dialogues. Now it's all combined into one. So like UI updates are happening all the time. So when people say update the UI, I don't really know what they mean. But you like the update for cards. Good. I'm glad to hear it. You're the first person to comment on it, even though it was like 6 months ago. I did get married. It is over. Settings UI is a bit laggy sometime when the game has mods. Yes, I do agree. We just saw that a second ago when I opened it on the big modded game. I might work on that. But in this update, there's an actual UI update, as in a styling update. So this is what the new multiplayer tab looks like. The new one's on the right. Old one's on the left. And this actually took me quite a lot of time to do. I will be the first to admit right now, I am not the best like designer. Like, my strength is in like software engineering and database design. That's where I feel like my strongest parts are. And then like the design is one of my weaker parts. So I did spend quite a bit of time working on this, and honestly, I'm kind of lukewarm happy about it. Like, I do think it's an improvement. I'm not sure it's there's still parts about this I'm not happy about. Let's just say it that way. But nevertheless, I do think it's a lot better than the old one. Getting these old green and blue buttons that just look weird, I think, into this just consistent color. Having icons next to them helps. I like having the brighter colors on front and darker colors in the background, whereas the old one had the darkest color as the most foreground object, if that makes sense. Like, this is dark versus light, and this one's light, and this one's dark. They're reversed. I do think that's a better. All the icons have been updated to be much higher resolution. They don't have this little crappy background behind them anymore that they used to have. Was the icon for manual distribution always supposed to be a wrench? I mean, you can see the old one here and the new one here. They're both like a wrench, right? Is that not a wrench? Am I hallucinating? Most of them stayed exactly the same like idea behind what they are. Technically, the mod one, You can barely see it in this screenshot. But in this one, it's a wrench that's kind of on fire. In this one, it's a magic wand that's kind of on fire. So that one did change. But yeah, in general, I think it does. The icons are probably the part that I think got the biggest improvement in this. You see the old one, the new one, there's kind of one background behind all of them. And in the old one, they all had like an individual background. And they're all higher resolution. The coins kind of got merged into that, which I think looks a lot better. The boot time being below the picture looks a lot better. I think the boot time actually saying the word boot is a big improvement for new players, because on the old one it just said 1 day, and it's like, well, what does 1 day mean? Obviously you guys know that's the boot time, but a brand new player wouldn't know. I don't know, the old one always looked a bit like an X, or perhaps like an alien to me. I didn't get the wrench concept. Yeah, I don't know, for me I see a wrench, or like a spanner I think it's called. Anyway, and I realize most of you haven't seen this new UI in the game yet, because if you're on the website was not updated. This specific style refresh was aimed at the multiplayer tab of the Unity app, which is Android, iPhone, and standalone client. And the Android and iPhone updates are not out yet. That is actually what I am working on, is the next thing on my list. The Android update will probably get pushed to Google today after this stream, and iPhone within a week. And so most of you people haven't actually seen this new UI in your client yet, but it is coming. The only people that are playing with this new UI are the people that use the standalone client, which is the Windows, Macs, and Linux downloadable app for members only. Those people do have this new UI, but everyone else is still waiting to get it. It will be coming soon. And then I picked this page, honestly, because I felt like it had the most room for improvement. Originally, this update was going to change the UI of every page throughout the entire Unity app. But yeah, it took me so long just to do this one page that I'm just like, again, I'm trying to do an update. 12 updates a year, so I try to aim loosely to do one a month. So I basically said, okay, just going to do this one page now. And then future pages are going to be updated in future updates. I will probably do like a 536.1 and just like update another page, and maybe a 2 and update another page or something like that. Maybe more than one page, hopefully. I'll pick like 5 or 6 pages and update those in a 5.36.1. I do think there's a lot of pages that need improvement. If we just like click through this is the standalone app. Come on, it's being slow. This is the standalone app. So like, I think there's a lot of pages that need improvements. Like the leaderboard. When I made the quick match leaderboard, I thought I would try this like brown color. And I don't really like it. I don't think this brown color looks good. So I think this page needs updates. This is like, I thought I would use this brown color on a lot of pages throughout the entire app. But then I changed my mind that I didn't like it, so I stopped using it on new pages, but I never went back and updated the old pages. So now it's like the only page with this brown color. So yeah, let's not look at that. It's terrible. That's going to get updated. I thought it looked more like a flipped tourney bracket. Just a small project. Every engineer before starting a project that will take years. Yes, exactly. People who know engineering, all kinds of engineering, know that everything takes longer than you think it's going to, right? And at some point, we'd also need to go through and do a style update of the website. But that's down the line. Right now, the first priority is the Unity app. Most people play Warzone through the iPhone and Android clients. So that's where my first focus is going to be. Plus, honestly, I don't think the website looks too bad. I think the website's kind of in okay shape. It's more the Unity app that needs help. Private game chat improvements. This is something that I think diplomacy players and people that play big games are going to appreciate. I always like doing a lot of improvements for people that play big games. So now, when you click this private button to initiate a private chat, this dialogue is improved significantly. So the biggest thing is there's this little chat icon, this little, what do you just call it? Like a white chat bubble. That icon appears next to anyone you have previously chatted with in the game. So you can see this is a list of players, you can see these people at the top have chat. I won't click on them and show the chat. These people down here do not. No messages. So if you can't like remember who you've been chatting with in a game before, this little icon will help you do that. You'll also notice that the colors are specified in this dialog now, so you can kind of see who is what color. Or the button is colored, I should say. Also, this is properly sorted. They're sorted alphabetically, whereas they used to not be properly alphabetically sorted. So it makes it easier to find the person. All this came out of the feature request form. In fact, somebody posted all this stuff on the feature request form. And they're left aligned, whereas they used to be like centered, which made it look weird. So yeah, improvements to that dialog. That's all that is. Double tap to inspect. This is something that's actually I've been wanting to do for many years. People have been requesting this feature or something, not this specifically, but something to improve the inspect window. So the inspect window is anytime you're clicking territories. So this is the inspect system is accessed in two ways. One is when you're playing the game, you have this little magnifying lens in the top left corner. If you click this magnifying lens, you are now in inspect mode where you can click on territories and learn about them. And now if you double click, you'll get this dialog that says it's North Africa, controlled by fog, everything it's connected to. So the change is now you have to double click to get that dialog. If you only single click, you will get the arrows only. And this is a change that was requested. It's been requested many times over the years. Can't remember by who, but the problem with the old system was as you're clicking around, that dialog would end up covering stuff up when you're just trying to like see stuff. So now you have the option of doing it one way or another. This is something I thought through a whole bunch of different solutions for. Thought about having like different inspect modes up here, but ultimately I think I like systems that are extremely simple. It also tells you in this little bubble up here, double tap for more details. So there is a way to figure it out if you're a new player and you're not watching this stream. So that's all that is. And this is an experiment. I don't know if this is the final form, but this is how I think this is a good compromise that allows you to click around without the dialogue covering things up, but still allows you to easily access the dialogue when you need it. So yeah, that's the way I'm going for. Also, the other way you access inspect mode, if you're in like a state here where I've already committed my orders, you're also in inspect mode, even though you have no like ability to turn it off. Also, if you're ever in history, you're in inspect mode, clicking on things to see things. Yeah, inspect mode is accessed a few different ways. Ever thought about publishing a global stats page where all the stats on everyone's profile page is aggregated and compared so you can see how your stats compare to the best in overall community? I have not thought about that. You are free to submit that to the feature request form. If you do submit that to the feature request form, I'm interested to know what stats specifically you're looking at. Because there actually is, so some of what you say is actually already done. So like your level is level 64. There is a points page where you can compare the highest level players. Wordwalker is the highest level player at 69. And also your points. I guess your points aren't on your profile, but you can see like highest points players and points received. You can see your personal points received. So, that's an example of something that matches what you're asking for that is already done. So if you wanted something specific, you should specify, like, I don't know if you're talking about like your multiplayer ranked wins. You need to specify exactly what stats you're talking about when you do that. But feel free to submit to the feature request form. Feature request form is where many of the updates and the recent updates have come from. You can come here. If you don't know what this is, you can vote on what features you want me to implement. And you can create your own ideas if it's not already there. You can come in here and you can put 0, 1, 2, or 3 votes. You unlock votes based on your level and other stuff. So that's inspect information. And then we have a whole bunch of other stuff in this update too. So increased chat raffle sizes. I did this just because I was looking at chat and I thought, hey, those should be a little higher. So chat raffles are about 50%, have been increased by about 50%. And there's a new feature in chat There is a raffle. If people don't know what the raffle is, people that hang out in global chat, you can say !raffle and when a raffle comes up, and one person will win the raffle. For example, Farah just won 15 coins and a time warp power. And then another new feature that in this update is the raffle bot will now the raffle bot will now spew random facts about Warzone. For example, today's fact of the day is Warzone uses Postgres as its primary database software. And I just inserted a bunch of stuff that I thought people would be interested in that isn't really well known, like a lot of behind the scenes stuff about how Warzone was built and how long it's existed and notable events that have happened over the years. There's a bunch of facts about how quick match ratings work and stuff that just I think isn't well known. Anytime I think about something that I'm like, this isn't as well known as it should be, I will go insert that as raffle fact. And already I've thought of several more since the update, and I've just inserted them into the list. If anyone has any ideas on raffle facts, feel free to let me know. I'm going to be inserting more over time. The list will grow. Sometimes the mobile app will play what sounds like ads. I can't see them, only hear them. I don't watch idle ads as I have a lifetime membership and I restart the app to get rid of the noise. This has been happening for a few months. What do you think this is? Oh, that's annoying. That's weird. Definitely should not be happening. If you see that happen text, what I would like you to do, when you see it, go to help, contact, report a bug. I will show that. In the top right corner, you click this button, you click help, you click contact, then you click report a bug. Fill out what is happening and click submit. Do that when you see it happen, not just now, but the next time you see it. And then I can, because what this does is this will send to me the log of your device, and I'll be able to look at that and hopefully figure out what's going on. Because that I can see how that would be really annoying, and I apologize if you had that problem. Did you read my suggestion? I don't know. Are you open for suggestions on adding, removing, or changing facts? You can send me them in private mail, sure, if you want. You would love some more achievements for single player, basically based on sum of turn total for all single player levels, e.g. turn total between 26, 27, 25. Oh, you mean all the built-in ones, like all the levels on the path? Beat all these levels in less than X turns? That would be pretty interesting. I think there's an achievement for beating every level, right? Yeah, I think it's a good idea. You should submit that to the future request form. I think that's a reasonable achievement. I think maybe 1 or 2. I don't think you'd want to do 10 of them. That'd be kind of silly. But maybe 1 would be good. Gold star for all levels. There is an achievement for gold star on all levels. That's kind of what you're asking for, right? Getting a gold star on all levels, but you want a super one that's even lower than gold star. Yeah, maybe. I'd have to think about that. In no fog commerce games, the amount of gold held by each player is now shown in the players panel. Okay, so this is something that's just a simple little thing. So if you're in a commerce game is where you get gold instead of armies directly. Previously, if you go into history, it would show you everyone's gold down here, and then as soon as you exited history, they would disappear for an in-progress game with no fog, which is kind of silly because it just adds extra work. If you can see the numbers, they should be prominently displayed. So now they are. You can see down here how much gold everyone has right in the players panel. You don't need to dig to find that information. In a fog game, it's still fogged and it is hidden. But in a game without fog, such as this fine game right here, you can now see everyone's gold. What else do we have? Non-members can now join mega games with mods. Okay, so normally when you create a game with mods, mods are a member feature. So if you create a game with mods, you're expected to invite only members to your game. There is a way to play modded games with non-members. And there's a special checkbox for that up here at the top. Allow non-members to join. And then there's restrictions on that. but there is a way to do it. Now, when it comes to mega games, this is games with more than 50 players up to 400. Those cost coins to create, so I just decided to waive the member requirement because honestly, if you're creating a game with 400 people, you're going to have a hard time getting 400 members in. So I just decided to waive the requirement and say, hey, if you're creating a mega game, you can use mods and anyone will be able to join it for free. Why do I get the field Crinage is responsible for that game? Is gold on the stats page? I'm not sure what stats page you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about the statistics window? I think it's treated as income. Or like the amount of gold held is what you're saying? It is not in the statistics table here. This just says income, territories, and armies. Maybe it should be. I'm not sure. Somebody could create a feature request form for that. Feature requests on the feature request form. Okay. Yearly memberships have been increased in price from $14.99 to $19.99. This is something that actually came up during the last stream. People who have watching all the streams will know what I'm talking about. This is something, the original price of that was set, I think, in 2014, which I went to an inflation adjuster, and it turns out that it's actually would have been more than $20 if all I did was adjust for inflation. So actually, it is a less. It's gone up less than inflation has gone up. Also, it is only affects new subscriptions. So if you already have a lifetime membership subscription at the $14.99, you can keep doing it for as long until you cancel it. And then if you cancel it and restart it, it'll go up to the $19.99. But if a new person subscribes to membership yearly, they will start the new price. Fixed copy game at turn. So a couple updates ago, we had a new feature called Copy Game at Turn, which is a member feature. And it only works for finished games. So let me go to a finished game. Sure. When you click this button, you have this button, Copy Game at Specific Turn, where you can make a copy of this game. You can be like, copy this game at turn 2. And what that'll do is that'll create an exact copy of this game at that specific point in time. It's useful if you want to rerun a scenario. You can be like, I want to create a game from this point and see who wins. And it will replicate the exact state of the board, the exact state of everyone's cards. And now it will also replicate the move order, which was something that it didn't do before. Like if it was my turn to move in the cycle, the copy would just be random before. Now the copy will actually maintain the correct person's turn. And what I'm talking about, of course, is only if you're using cyclic or no luck cyclic move order. With random move order, of course, it's just random. So yeah, that's just a little bug fix. The app broke on your phone. When you start a game, an ad plays, but at the end of the ad, the app freezes. I can't play on my phone anymore. Oh, that sucks. I have not heard of that problem, Eric. First question I have for you, are you talking about iOS or Android? The next thing I would suggest is that you clear the data for the app and kind of reset it back to the start. If you would like to contact me for more help, you can go to the website. If you go to warzone.com/reportbug, you can always contact me here. Just started 2 days ago. There haven't been any updates to the app in about a month, so it's definitely not caused by an update. I would try just resetting the app and see if that helps. When will the AIs get smarter? Seems like they don't use some basic tactics, like not giving away a big commander stack to the teammate when they're in jeopardy. Yeah, so the AI that exists in the game now was really written to support single player. So the things that it focused on were the ability to play in a single player scenario against a human player. So they won't do a lot of advanced techniques that you see in multiplayer games and stuff. Like they won't give away a big commander stack to their teammate when they are in jeopardy. Yeah, they are pretty basic in that regard. It's not something I'm currently planning on improving, but I would like to. I'd like to see a new UI. I think that would be cool. If a smarter AI is something you are interested in, you should definitely create that in the feature request forum. One day I'd really like to use some of these new deep learning GPU training models on the Warzone AI and see if it can produce something superhuman. I think that'd be really cool to try to do. I have that on my list as something I'd like to work on one day, but I don't really know how to do that. I don't have experience doing that. I would need to figure out how to do it. And then a bug fix, just some little bug fixes here. We don't need to talk about these. Yeah, little bug fixes. This one. This one maybe should have been a header by itself. People that super send often will really appreciate this. This was something that was requested on the feature request form as well. In Warzone Idle, when you super ascend, it lets you pick what artifacts you want to keep. And if you then later super ascend, so what happened now is it will remember which artifacts you chose. And then when you go to super ascend, if you previously kept an artifact through a super ascension, it will pre-select it. Some people can keep like 34 artifacts through a super ascension, so they have to end up clicking 34 times to select all the ones they want to keep. And if you super ascend often, that gets very tedious. So having it pre-select them will save a whole bunch of clicks for those people. It's something that doesn't affect very many people, but the people it does affect will greatly appreciate this feature. There are some smarter AIs available when making single player levels. So there are a couple other AIs, yes. There's a few problems with making those AIs work in multiplayer. So those AIs only work in single player games because they will only run on your computer. In multiplayer, those AIs have some problems. So one, they don't support all settings. Let's pull it up so I can show. When you are making an AI in a single player community level, you can choose between 5 options. 2 of the options are Prod 2.0, which is the normal AI that we have now. Prod just stands for production. It's very poorly named. Prod 2.0 with randomness is the AI that you get in multiplayer today. There's also a variant of that, which just does not allow randomness to affect it. It is deterministic, meaning if it is put in the same situation, it will do the same thing every time. That one's very situational. I'm not sure exactly why you'd want to use it, to be honest, unless you're making like a trick level or something. Most of the time, randomness is good because it makes it less predictable. If you know exactly what your opponent is going to do, you can kind of exploit it. So having randomness in there is better. There's Prod 1.0, which is the old AI, and it is much dumber. I don't think there's any reason to use it. In fact, maybe I should just remove that one. And then there are these others two called Wonderwaff and Cowzow. These were created by community members, and they are smarter in many ways, but they also don't work with all game settings, which is one of the things that are restrictive about them. Like, Wonderwaff doesn't even know how to play on Zero Army Stand Guard, which would probably be something that would maybe be easy to add to it, but currently it doesn't. I think both of these don't know how to do that. They also don't know how to play a lot of different types of cards, and they also potentially have significant performance problems. If they were put in a multiplayer, they would likely crash the AI server. Because Prod 2.0, by the way, I've spent a whole bunch of time optimizing it for all sorts of crazy scenarios. Because Warzone is such a customizable game, people can create all sorts of crazy situations on huge maps with tons of players and multi-tack and stuff. And Prod 2.0 has been hardened significantly, so it doesn't take up too much time and it doesn't crash in any situation. Because it runs on Warzone servers. If it crashed, I would have to fix it. Whereas Wonderwaff and Cowzow are not hardened, and if I were to take them and plug them in a multiplayer, they would almost certainly crash the servers. I forgot about this game, 27 to 2018, and just refound it and loving it. Nice to see all the small improvements you've been doing over time. Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy the game. And thank you for Thank you for your kind words. Regular 2.0 is good for puzzle levels and community levels. Sure, I can see that. I'd eat Wonder Waff for breakfast, and I don't even eat breakfast. Yeah, I imagine most decent Warzone players could beat any of the AIs in a fair competition. The way you make AIs be competitive against you is making multiple of them. Do like a 2v1. Could you beat 2 Wonder Waffs together on a team? Just think about how stupid the average player is, and then realize half the players are more stupid than that. Seasonal ladder run with autopilot only? Yeah, I don't think you'd get very far with that. You're good at small Earth. Do you generally think the current AIs could beat you on it? No. In a fair fight, I would expect no. Maybe in a 2v1. Maybe in a 3v1. When clicking territories to see all territories on bonus, this is idle. Oh, this is one I think people are going to appreciate this as well. Idle players. A lot of times when you're trying to finish a bonus in Idle, in Warzone Idle, let's see, there's a bonus I've partially completed, like this one. There's this territories button down here after you click a bonus, like Slippery Way. Who named these bonuses? What it does now, before you had to basically scroll down this list and try to figure out if you were like, on this one, it's easy, plain and easy to see I'm missing these 3 territories. But sometimes you have a crazy bonus with like, that's very far apart, or it has bonuses that are like, that are a long ways away or very small. And you like, how come I don't have this bonus? You're trying to figure out why. You can now just click the territories button and it will show you at the top. Oops. What did I click on? What did I do? Yeah. Go back. It will show you at the top which territories you have not conquered. Rather than requiring you to just look down the list and try to figure it out, it now just says, here are the 3 you're missing, and you can click on them to highlight them. So just an easy thing to help you find why you don't have a bonus. I just uninstalled the app on my phone and reinstalled it. It still freezes at the end of an ad. Oh. On Android. So on Android, go to apps, go to settings, apps, Warzone, and click the clear data, clear cache buttons. Because I think just uninstalling it and reinstalling it won't clear the data like it does on iPhone. I'm not sure about that. This is a very nice feature. I really love the game. I want to play it again. If you can't figure it out during this stream, feel free to use the report bug thing. They'll contact me directly. I'll be able to give you more personalized help when I'm not streaming. I don't use the menu often in Idle, but when I do, it was always a pain to use before. Good. I'm glad it was a pain to use. I'm glad it'll be better now. Fix the advancement bug. This is just a little bug fix. Fix idle sync issues. I've been talking about this on previous streams. I have been reworking the way that idle syncing works from the ground up to be much more reliable. It is drastically simplified, and it should work drastically better now. It was really too complex before. I was trying to be too fancy and do too many things, and that ended up causing problems. It is much better now. So how does it actually work now? Are you talking about idle syncing? I love idle, and I'm super excited for a better sync. Good, I'm glad to hear that. It should be reliable now. Honestly, most of the updates to idle syncing happened in 5.35 and 5.34 as well. So you should already have a reliable sync. 5.36 just fixes up slightly more, smooths off some more edges. But it should be working for you. Hello there. If it is not, feel free to file a bug report. I would like to hear if you are having sync issues on the latest version. If you are having any sync issues, please report them. I would like to hear about it because I would like to fix them. Hopefully they're all fixed now. Just upload the entire save file every minute to the server. Yeah, it's basically kind of like that. I mean, it was like that before, but there were issues with the way it did before. But yeah, that's basically is how it works. Yes. That was my suggestion after a bug because it didn't show icons on the big bonus list in Idle. Cool. Glad to hear that it was your suggestion. fix the change add benefit. Oh, this is something that JK reported. That change add benefit button was visible in battles when it was not supposed to be visible in battles. So that's fixed. Let's see. Oh, this was a feature request on the forum by Dan. He wanted to be able to unvote a feature request. So if you can upvote or downvote feature requests. And previously, once you voted either up or down, you could not unvote. You could not go back to the neutral state. You had to you could always change from up to down, but you couldn't change back to nothing. Now you can change back to nothing just by clicking the button again. You click the button again and it undoes it. So Dan WL requested that. And so that is done. Merge JavaScript files. So this is actually something I am excited about. I know some people are going to notice improved performance and reliability because of this. So on the website, there were like 4 or 5 JavaScript files that it would serve you every time you loaded the Warzone.com website. They've all been merged into one. That just makes it cleaner and easier. Plus, I would occasionally see people get errors where like one of the first JavaScript files would fail to load for some reason. Like, I don't know why, maybe something about the CDN or something, but for whatever reason, one of the JavaScript files would fail to load, and then the second one would load, and then it would fail with an error message because it didn't have the data that was loaded by the first one. And then people would get like an error pop-up and they would report it to me and be like, hey, the website's broken. And I'd be like, oh, that's weird. One of the JavaScript files didn't load. So now that's all in one file. So they're either all going to load or all going to not load. It should be more reliable. Did UJS big now get even bigger? So in this update, it got slightly bigger because it is merged with a few other files, but the total size you have to download is less or the same. And plus it's just one file you have to download, so it should be faster. So overall it is much better. 2 updates ago in 5.35, and I didn't talk about this much on stream, but there was another change where there used to be 2 JavaScript files, one called WLJS and another called UJS. And those 2 got merged into just UJS. That was a huge performance benefit. I didn't talk about this much on stream for the previous update, but that was a huge benefit because before that, those were 2 huge files. They were both like over 10 megabytes each. And honestly, they did not need to be separate. Most of it was duplicate. Like most of the code in one file was the same as the code in the other. So you were downloading these 2 huge JavaScript files completely unnecessarily, even though it was 90% the same code. So it made no sense to have them as separate files. So they were merged into one, which, by the way, that merging was what broke some people's user scripts, which is unfortunate that they were relying on some stuff that was by the old way. But it had to be done because I was talking to this one guy who was playing Warzone, and he was using his neighbor's Wi-Fi, so he had a very slow internet connection. And every time, and plus he played in an incognito window, so every time he went to Warzone, it had to download all of the JavaScript files over a slow connection, and his performance was horrendously bad. And so that's definitely the worst case. As I try to make everything as efficient as possible, but for his case, the situation was really bad. So by merging those 2 JavaScript files, it significantly improved his experience, as well as anyone on low bandwidth connections. As well as anyone on slower PCs, because it does take your browser some time to process a 10 megabyte JavaScript file. If you're on a screaming fast PC, you probably won't notice, but on a more average or lower end PC, trying to process a 10 megabyte JavaScript file does take a noticeable amount of time. So by having 2 of it and having to process all that stuff unnecessarily twice made it significantly worse. So yeah, it's all better now. Should be good. Fix the zoom button on the tournament pages. This was something some people noticed. If you're on a tournament page on the website, this zoom button didn't work. Mouse wheel scrolling did work, but this zoom button was broken. So that's now fixed. Babylon fix. I don't know how many people are using Babylon. Babylon is the 3D game mode. Let's talk about 3D. If you go to your account settings on the website, you can turn on 3D mode. And that makes the website look 3D. It's a whole new rendering engine. And you get like these nice textures, and you get lighting effects and stuff like that. It looks much nicer like this. This probably, if you saw me pull this up, this probably looks different than what you're used to if you play on the website. That's because this is 3D mode. I think it looks a lot better. You should give it a shot if you have not tried it. Again, all you do is go to Account Settings, click on 3D mode, check the box. You can turn it on or off anytime you'd like. Bug fixes for mods, little improvements for mods, stuff people had asked for. API improvements. Yeah, I think that's basically everything in the update. Just wanted to say the new U update is very nice. Is there a place where these updates are discussed? Yeah, so thank you. I'm glad you like it. Thank you for the kind words. There are places to discuss the updates on the forum. There is this Ask Me Anything thread. There is also JK created an update discussion thread right here. You can discuss this right here. 3D should be the default. It's nice. I think one day it will become the default. Yeah. We're working on it. It's getting there. There are actually, at the moment, there are no outstanding bugs in 3D mode I know of. I've been playing on it, and it works pretty well for me. I will say that like it was first introduced several months ago, and there were some bugs when it was first introduced, and I've been fixing them as I find them. Now that I believe all the bugs are fixed, does it still have the performance hit it used to have? It is much better. Performance on it is much better than when it was first introduced. So I would say give it a shot. If you're still having performance problems with it, let me know. Like send me mail. Let me know what your experience was like, and tell me what specs you have. It is 3D, so it will be in general more taxing to your computer. If you don't have a 3D card in your computer, you may find it doesn't work well for you on any map. If you do have a 3D card, a decent 3D card, it should work fine on pretty much all maps. Maybe not some of the super huge ones, but I expect it should work as long as you have a decent computer. If you have a very low-end computer, you might want to stick with 2D mode. All right, so we are going to go over all of the questions that were asked in the Ask Me Anything thread for all the people who couldn't be here or just ask their questions in advance. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in chat, because I think what we're going to do is we're going to go through these 23 posts, and then that will probably be the end of the stream. So JK asks, how big will the new raffles be? They're about 50% bigger. I think I answered that earlier in the thread. The game feed API now returns the XY coordinates of each territory on the map. Why add the coordinates? Because somebody asked for it. I think it was Just a Dutchman asked me. He was doing some project and he wanted the coordinates of the territory. So I was like, okay. I added them for him. So the first I noticed when looking at the new style update pick is you only see the first prize to the tournaments. Is there a reason you no longer see the second and third place prize? Yeah. So in the old UI, it used to say first place prize, second place prize, third place prize. It's just too wordy. It's just trying to make it cleaner. And honestly, you don't need to see it if you're browsing games in a tournament. When you're browsing tournaments themselves, you will still see all the prizes. But when you're just playing a game in it, I don't think it's essential information. So just trying to clean it up, make it look nicer. Can you possibly return the ability to use the tab button to navigate each individual territory bonus? He has some concerns regarding making custom scenarios. Currently, I have to click the bonus box to input a number instead of using tab. Normally, it's not an issue when using smaller maps, but on large maps, it's a pain to actually individually click the bonus boxes. Or if possible, could you add a way to zero out all of the territory bonuses without having to input 0 on all territory bonuses? So is he talking about, he says he has questions about making custom scenarios. And then he's asking about using tab to switch between bonuses. Because when you go into custom scenario, I'm a little confused because when you're making a custom scenario, you're not changing bonuses, you're changing territories. Now you can assign like to a bonus, like you can set all the territories in a bonus. I actually have a feeling that what he's talking about is not custom scenarios. I actually have a feeling he's talking about overriding territory sizes. I don't think he means custom scenario. He means assigning custom values to the bonus values within the army section. Yes, I think that is what he means. Just a little confused because he doesn't. He says it's about. I realize people that make custom scenarios also override territory bonus sizes. Those are two features that do go hand in hand, so maybe that's what he's talking about. The next question I would want to know is he talking about the website or the mobile app? He's probably talking about the website. But yeah, you're right. In the standalone client, you cannot use tab here. Can you use tab here in the browser version? Yeah, you're right. It doesn't work. Yeah, I think that's a good thing that should work. Let me write that down. Why doesn't tab work? Tab should work because it's a normal website, but maybe I have it captured. I should be able to look into that. Yeah, I agree tab should work. Ideally, it should work in the standalone client as well, although that's probably lower priority. Just because not many people use the standalone client. This mainly pertains to in-game capabilities. Could you add a feature request allowing players to form a group of private chats while in-game? Yeah, that is a very common feature request. Feel free to vote on it on the feature request forum. I do think there is value to that. I know that you can use groups now, but it's a little cumbersome. But yes, I do think that is a valuable feature request. So feel free to vote for it on the feature request forum. Regarding artifact auto-selection with supersending. Previously, the first 3 artifacts you pick would become equipped when you were done. As such, we needed to be careful about picking active artifacts that were cooling down. That's a good point. That's not something I ever really thought about, to be honest. Because you want your equipped one, you don't want them to be pre-equipped, because if it's cooling down, if it's cooling down, shouldn't it have already been equipped? Ideally, the ones that you already had equipped should be the ones that are still equipped after you super ascend, right? Because a cooling down artifact should never be unequipped, right? In what order the artifacts auto-selected with the new update? Cooling down, yeah, not upgrading, because upgrading you can unequip. The idea is if you use an artifact and it's cooling down, you can't unequip it while it's cooling down. I guess that's maybe an exploit where people are super ascending to get around that restriction. No, it should be unequipped. Unequipping active artifacts is a good super ascend reward. Maybe. It was not intended. I'll just put it that way. I don't know what the right thing to do is, but it wasn't intended that you'd be able to super ascend to get out of a cooldown period. Non-members can now join mega games with mods. Is it free for the non-members or do they have to pay? It is free. Has a court date been set for the Activision lawsuit? No, we are still waiting on the judge. You submit a feature request for that. Yeah, there you go. Put in your votes. Clan War season is now too long again. Is it? Let's look at that. I have a little thing here I can run. Let's see. What do we got? Let me put this on stream just a second. Clean it up. We have... So... Recently, we've had, 17 days, 21 days, 24, 19, 21, 9. Oh, that was the one that was shortened. 21, 26, 24, 26, 25, 29, 27. Seems like the Clan War seasons are consistent. I mean, maybe we had 19, 18 before, and now we're at 25, 29, 27. A little bit too long. Yeah, I would say they're a little bit too high. 27 days seems reasonable to me. It doesn't seem like insanely long, but some people can super ascend multiple times in a 9-hour cooldown period, so they have like 3 insane time warp artifacts. That is true, that is not intentional. 100 men or 1 gorilla? 4 weeks equals 1 week without rewards. That's a good point. Yeah, I agree. They should be a little shorter. I can work on that. You're right. They should be about 3 weeks. So, yeah. Good point. I agree. They should be about 3 weeks. 21 days. I will pick a smaller map the next time. Once the current queue runs out and I pick new maps. When using the sidebar in Firefox, I get a screen to download the app, and it's not able to load the mobile version of the game. Is there a way to bypass it? Love the game, by the way. So thanks for your kind words. I'm glad you like the game. When using the sidebar in Firefox, I get a screen to download the app. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. I'm not sure what the sidebar in Firefox means, to be honest. Can you tell me more? And you say you get a... Are you on a mobile device? Are you doing this on an Android or iPhone device? Because you should only get... The website does prompt you to download the app if you access it from Android or iPhone. And the main reason it does that is because you can't play the game on the website on Android or iPhone. You can only play it on Android or iPhone through the app. So that's why it prompts you to install the app. I think that's a reasonable thing to do. Back in 2010, there was a big influx of Polish players. Some great Polish players came out of that, like Shevek, Azriel, Latnox, Taimon, and of course Vajish, whom I brought it up to. I somehow remember you saying this was because you were testing the waters with advertising and starting a small ad campaign in Poland. Vajish remembers that the reason was the influx of big unpaid article on a big Polish website. What happened 15 years ago? I believe Vajish is correct. There was indeed a unpaid article on a big Polish website. I used to remember the name of that website, but I cannot remember it off the top of my head. But yeah, I did not do any ad campaigns in Poland. I don't think I've done almost no ad campaigns ever. Most of the way I've done marketing is by making versions of the game on like Congregate and Google Hangout and other things like that. I did not do a small ad campaign in Poland. It was just a random site that decided to add it. This update is very cool. I think the dot on custom scenario icon should be bigger. The dot on the custom scenario icon? Really? Where is... Let's look at the custom scenario. So fun fact, the custom scenario icon is the only one that has 2 different versions of it. There is a version of it for single-player games, which looks like this. And there's a version of it for multiplayer games, which looks like this. The dot feels appropriately sized for both of them to me. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think the dot needs to be bigger on the custom scenario icon? When I use Bravebrower on Windows 10, it won't let me make a move. Number 2. Yeah, so the Brave browser does have a problem with Warzone. And the way you can fix that problem is by disabling the feature called Shields Up. There is a feature in the Brave browser called Shields Up that if you have your shields up, then it breaks Warzone. So disable Shields Up, and when you disable it, there's also a little button that says, report this back to the Brave browser as breaking the site. You should click that button to report it back to them. I've been telling people to do this for years, and Brave never fixes it, so I don't know if they will one day. But yeah, I'm not sure what you mean, Rex, when you talk about the dot needing to be bigger. It looks fine to me. Are there any Warzone Twitch or YouTube players? Yes, there are. Unfortunately, because of Call of Duty, they kind of took over our category. It's hard to find Warzone Twitch players and YouTube players, to be honest. But I'm sure if you ask on the forum, you can find people point them out. The colors are too dark. You can't see the buttons in Quick Match properly. Really? So what I would like you to do, Tarnished, I would like you to send me a screenshot of the screen showing me the buttons that you think are too dark, because I'm not sure exactly what buttons you're referring to. When I go to quick match, I can see the buttons okay. I would like you to both send me a screenshot of your screen and send me a picture of your screen if you have the ability to do that. Like use a phone or something to take a picture. And the reason I'd like both is because different screens have different color accuracies. And I know I used to have this problem back in, this is a long time ago, 10 plus years ago, when I used a CRT monitor. And I used this like big CRT monitor where my tubes were dying and the color accuracy was really bad. And there were some colors that were practically invisible to me. And you can't capture that on a screenshot. You can only capture that if I see what you see. So I'd like to know, first I'd like to validate that the colors that are showing up for you are the same as what is showing up for everyone else. If that is true, if that's not true, then that could be the first, that's the first thing I need to know. There's all sorts of different monitors out there of different styles, so I'd like to see what you're seeing to understand this feedback. Maybe the buttons need to be brighter, but I'd like to first understand it fully. Most sites use the HTML canvas for fingerprinting, so Privacy First browser blocks the canvas and breaks Warzone along with it. That might be what it is. I don't know 100% what the details are. There might be a setting in Brave to specifically allow the canvas for Warzone, but don't quote me on that because I don't use Brave. Yeah, I don't use Brave either. I'm not sure. Can we get alternate colors for global chat? My red is great in games, but too bright in chat as a background. Interesting. Feel free to post that to feature request form. If enough people want that, maybe. By the way, my friends got me into this game in COVID, and I still play on my own. Just want to say thanks for the labor of love. You're welcome. Thank you for your kind words, and I'm glad you enjoy the game. What changed in the 5.35.2 update? There's nothing in the change log. You assume it's mainly a bug fixes for idle syncing. It was actually a patch for my wedding. During my wedding, there was a special game mode where guests could play games of Warzone against each other. And I needed to add a little feature to the app to enable that. It was an extremely simple system where it just like matched a guest against another guest. And Small Earth Commander and Bomb Card was the template I chose. So nothing changed for you guys. Are you aware of the features in Molly's dashboard script? I am aware of some of them. I would not claim to be aware of all of them. I do not regularly use his script, but I have used it at least one point in the past. If I were to make that into feature requests, what would be the best way to split that up? And so, yes, making feature requests is a good idea. First off, when you make your feature requests, I would fully outline the feature you would like. Don't just say implement the features from this user script, especially because I can't use the user script if it doesn't work. So I won't be able to handle that feature request. What you should do is fully outline exactly what feature you are asking for, all the ins and outs of how it works. And generally my advice is create a feature request for every feature individually rather than like bucking in a whole bunch of features together. Because remember, in general, in the feature request form, the policy is that if you create a feature request and you asked for like multiple things, like if you ask for 3 things, A, B, and C, if only A gets done, then the entire feature request is going to get resolved as completed. So that's a bit dangerous. It might not get you what you want. The best way is to create a feature request for each individual feature you want. And then people can vote on those, and the ones that are wanted the most will be the ones that get implemented. Rest in peace, Warlight. Were you forced to change the name, or did you just decide you liked Warzone better? I do like Warzone better than Warlight, yes. Warzone is the sequel to Warlight. I heard you sent an announcement for the Small Earth 1 Waste and Seasonal, and it massively boosted participation. Small Earth auto distribution was chosen this season for the same reason, but you didn't make another announcement. The announcement was a one-time thing, so we won't be doing it again. I do like Small Earth auto distribution. I am playing this season of the seasonal ladder. I did not pick this template for this seasonal ladder. It was picked by a seasonal panel, a group of players, such as Kenny and Zeno and Rufus, as well as others. Personally, I would not have picked Small Earth Auto Distribution for the ladder, even though I enjoy the template. I think the ladders should be a little bit more strategic templates. Way back in the day when I did the seasonal ladder overhaul, I did pick a whole bunch of templates that I thought would be good for the seasonal ladder. Small Earth 1 Wasteland was on that list. Small Earth Auto Distribution was not on that list. I actually thought it wouldn't be a great template for the seasonal ladder. That was just my breakdown. Just because it was auto distribution and some games give you unwinnable positions, which is less true of Small Earth 1 Wasteland. I do like the template, and I do think that there's a lot you can do with your starting picks that a lot of people don't realize. There's more strategy to it than I think most people do realize. I just wouldn't have picked it for the seasonal ladder. But nevertheless, the seasonal ladder template, the seasonal panel has picked it, so it got chosen anyway. Which I think is fine. I'm enjoying it. I don't think I've lost a game yet. Can you help me find a way to avoid Warzone from getting blocked on my school Chromebook? Because now I can't play in class anymore. Ooh. So I don't actually use Chromebooks. I don't know much about how they work, and I don't know how they block it. So I'm not sure I know how to help you with that. Sorry. I don't know. Sorry. I don't know how they work. I assume you're just going through the website. Yeah, you must be. Try downloading the Android app. Does that work on Chromebooks? You already have way too many open requests. Well, if the requests you have now, you want more than what you would add, then that's fine. If there's something you want more than what you have now, you can always move your votes. Seems like he's changed the name again since we're getting blocked by Call of Duty. Maybe we should throw a number in the name. So we can't get out popularized by some games spending a bunch on marketing. Yeah, I do apologize for that. I'm limited in what I can say about that because there's ongoing litigation. So I can't fully address that topic, but I am aware. I'm aware of the problem. Shall we ever have emoticons in the chat? That is something I would like to have. Proper emoticon support. I think some emoticons are supported on the Unity app, but not very many. Let's go dual auto for seasonal. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. They use something called Aristocile Student. I'm not familiar with that. Sorry. Can't download anything on it. Maybe call it Warzone 2.0. I do own Warzone2.com. It was available and I bought it. For some reason, Activision didn't register it. I don't know why. I bought it well after Call of Duty Warzone came out. Okay. For the multi features, things like these are absolute necessities. Seeing the amount of time left in the game, rather than just the amount of time passed. This is one I have mixed feelings on. I feel like there's a psychological thing. So one of the things I try to do is I try to encourage people to take their turn, to not procrastinate. Some people are very heavy procrastinators. And they will wait until the last second. I know people like this. They will wait until the last second to take their turn. No matter how much time you give them. If you give them 3 days to take their turn, they're going to take their turn in 2.99 days. I know people like this. And that's something I personally dislike. I feel like faster games are more fun. And I feel like there's a psychological thing that if you tell someone that they have 3 days left, they're more likely to take those 3 days than if you tell them, hey, people have been waiting for you for 12 hours. People have been waiting for you for 12 hours versus saying, hey, you have 2.5 days left. I feel like there's a psychological difference there, and they're more likely to play faster in the latter versus the former. I don't have any data to back that up. I just think that's probably true. Serial stars will do it anyways, sure. But I suspect it will happen less, depending on how it's presented. Formatting hotkeys for images, bullets, bold, italics, etc. That's interesting. I would be interested in hearing about how those hotkeys work. I never used those hotkeys in that extension, so I'm not sure how they worked. If you make that as a feature request form, make sure to outline exactly how it worked. You have data to back up that a seasonal announcement will boost participation? Cool. Good data. I love that a new in-game chat interface in 5.36. It is so much better now. The colors, the icon, alphabetation is great, but I'm disappointed we didn't also see an addition for private notes to oneself. Yeah. How many people have voted for that on the feature request form? I don't remember seeing it on the feature request form. It's probably there. I don't know. Private notes. Oops. Public and private. No, that's not it. It's not even on the first page. You got to get it on the first page. Why is it not on the first page? Don't forget to tell people in the stream that the template for seasonal ladder is small earth auto distribution. Hey, people on stream, the template for the seasonal is small earth auto distribution. There we go. I guess that when you write the code for these games, it allows some creativity from players which may not have anticipated. Question: are there any things players do which surprise you? Oh yeah, for sure. There are countless examples. For example, Timmy block, Timmy tap, intel, or even more block T shuffle. I don't know if I know what all those things are. But I suspect, I don't know what those things are exactly. But yeah, there are lots of things people have done surprise me. People discovered phantom attacks. That's where this was not something I intended, obviously, but where can I show it off? At the end of your turn, like you enter all your orders, and at the end of your turn, you do a random phantom attack, and that can help you determine the move order in a game. So I issued all my orders, all my armies. Let me do this. No, wait, that's a little less insane. So you deploy your armies, you do an attack. Once you're done with all your attacks, you take a territory that you have already sent all of your armies somewhere, and you issue an attack to a neighboring place. You change the 0 to a 1 by pressing 1 on your keyboard. You click OK. You have now inserted a phantom order that won't do anything, but it can help you learn the move order in a cyclic move order game. Because if you see an attack between these two, or after this one, depending on where it is in the orders list, you can actually learn slightly more. It's extremely subtle and extremely rare. It rarely helps you, but it sometimes helps you just the tiniest bit. That is something people surprised me, that somebody figured that out. And I do use it. And I am considering getting rid of it because it's kind of a weird thing. It's very unintuitive. It's kind of hard to get rid of because it's kind of ingrained into the move order system, but I had no idea. Thank you. I love Seed, and I'm going to join the ladder now. I think you already knew. Showing how much time is left before the booter dashboard. Procrastinate regardless how the day is presented. But the rest of us are interested in knowing how much time we have left to plan our moves in our life. It's nice quality of life features is doing the math. Possibly what you say is true. I also think that is not necessarily true. It's true that some people will procrastinate regardless, but I also think that some people would be influenced by it. I actually don't think it's as clear cut as saying procrastinates will procrastinate, therefore we shouldn't bother trying. I don't think it's that black and white. Notes feature is one of the top requests. It opened in the wrong browser. It's 128 votes in game notes. Yeah, you're right. It is one of the top requests. Where is it? Oh, it is the third top request. Yes, you're right. To highly back feature requests, there actually do feature requests, so we aggregate them on this one. You could play a map forever on idle before, upgrading mines and armies. What made you change that to exiting the map once completed? It makes people miss out on those digging sites. It was not intentional change. It was more a side effect of the new syncing system. I also didn't realize you could play it forever on idle before. I thought once you closed the app and reopened the app, it would go away. I actually didn't know that that was possible. But in general, I recommend you not staying on a map for dig sites. I know that's something I hear a lot of people do. I think that's actually a really bad strategy in my opinion. Of course, you're welcome to do it if it makes you happy, but I think it is better, and I recommend that people move on to the next map and not stay on a map purely for dig sites, because my logic is simple. The next map is going to have dig sites too. So as long as your digging crew is always active, it really doesn't make sense to stay on a map and lose out on your AP progression, because your dig site is going to be active either way. So you might as well be getting AP and artifacts rather than just staying on a map and getting only artifacts. Just keep it then. It's not breaking anything in the game, and it's a neat pro move to get the upper hand. Yeah, the problem is it's something else that new players have to learn to be competitive. So part of one of the things I focus on, or I don't know, focus on, one of the things I work on is how much work does it take for a brand new player to get to a point where they can be competitive in the community. That should be as small as possible, because it just makes for a better community. There is a risk of phantoms revealing your location through fog, yes. And that actually is an interesting part of the strategy. There are some times where I intentionally don't do a phantom because I don't have a good location to do it. I think it's not a bug, but a feature that good players implement strategically. Yes, that is true, but it's also unintuitive, and it's hard to do. And it's hard to do because you have to bring up the software keyboard and press a button, so it's kind of weird. You don't really need to understand phantom moves until you get at least to the MTL level of playing, in my opinion. I mean, I use it in the quick match. I don't think that's necessarily a true statement. I understand, but I'd like to get all the upgrades done on a simple map, as if it were an achievement. Yeah, if your intention is to do that, what I recommend is you leave one territory unconquered. And by that point, you're already in a clan with tutors and or have several guides. I mean, that may be the way it is today, but I don't want that to be a requirement, JK. Somebody should be able to become a pro player without tutors or guides, in my opinion. It is a badly designed game if you need tutors to be competitive at a game. How deep the game is and why some of us have kept playing for so long. What is so deep about this game? I'm new, literally, and just opened the website for the first time. I'm new. This is Warzone. Click play now and go through the tutorial. You will learn the game. You don't need to learn it to be competitive. It's just an extra layer in the onion. Those Easter eggs keep it interesting. I'm afraid you're going to need a lot of work on tutorials then, Fizzer. Yeah, I do want to do work on tutorials. That is one of the things I have on my list. And honestly, figuring out how to properly do all the tutorials is a lot of work. Okay, what do we got? We got page 2. So we're going to go over page 2, and then that'll be the end of today's stream. The JZ conditional delay. I don't know all these terms. You guys need to outline these. Any hope for the guy that made the Unity text stuff to ever add support for OS fonts? Probably not. I don't think the guy that made the Unity text stuff, you remember that conversation. That guy got hired by Unity as far as I know. They bought his component, and they integrated it to be part of Unity. And then ever since, they've not done very many updates to it. And I think it's abandoned now. I think Unity has a whole new UI layer that Warzone does not currently use. We use the old one because I've been making it since 2017, since before the new one existed. Do you have a plan for implementing it yourself? I don't know. Maybe it would be a good thing for me to implement that myself. Honestly, if I did the work of implementing that myself, I suspect there's other people out there that would pay money for that because it's a very common thing. There are also lots of players who would like their emojis or Korean name to work. Honestly, the solution to this problem might be just port away from Unity if it's that big of a deal. There's a lot of problems that come with Warzone being written in Unity, and this is just one of them. Recently have a growing interest in WebAssembly. Since Warzone has a lot of code, it might provide a benefit here too, but don't quote me on that since it will probably depend on a bunch of things. Does Warzone make use of WASM? Do you ever have plans to add it in the future? Yeah, I have run into WASM a couple times. It currently does not make use of it at this moment in time. Back in 2017, when Warzone launched the Unity app on the website, I don't know if you remember this, but back when we were Flash, and Flash was dying, and I was rewriting the game in Unity, Unity has a system where you can export a Unity app to the web. And originally it did not use WASM, and it was very slow to load. And I remember thinking, and they were working on a WASM version, WebAssembly version. And I remember thinking, man, I can't wait until they have that. It's going to make it so much faster. And I kept waiting and waiting, and they finally came out with it, and I loaded it, and it was just as slow. And I'm like, really? Why is it still so slow? And it was like ridiculously slow. Like it took 30 seconds to load a website, even on a reasonably fast computer. And I remember thinking, this is ridiculous. A website should never take 30 seconds to load. That is absurd, and I won't stand for it. And I spent a whole bunch of time trying to fix it, make it faster. I concluded that it was impossible to make faster, that Unity's web version is just slow. And so I abandoned it, and we don't use it anymore. Now we have UJS, which I spent almost a year making, and so that the website can load fast. And that was my experience with WASM. It did not solve the problem that I was having at the time. That's all I know about it. But yeah, I have looked into, so Warzone JavaScript files are generated using the library called Haxe, H-A-X-E. I have Googled before to see if Haxe supports WASM, and apparently it cannot. Or maybe it can, but I'm not sure if it would actually be faster. Maybe I think Haxe can build C++, so maybe C++ can be fed into WASM, and then maybe it will be faster. I'm not sure. If it is faster, that would be something to look into. Might have been the initial downloading of the entire runtime that is cached for later page loads. So it was back when Warzone was using Unity on the website. It would generate like a 30 megabyte JavaScript file after being minified. And then that would be compressed. And most of the performance time was actually the browser parsing the file, not downloading the file. Well, if you're on a slow internet connection, downloading the file could be slow too. But even once the file was downloaded, it just had to be parsed. And that was what took almost the entire 30 seconds. And that happened even on repeat page loads. Even if the file was already cached in your browser, in like Chrome, just clicking refresh still took like 20, 30 seconds. So yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. The actual time was not cached, and it happened even if the files were cached, it was still slow. I've been playing exclusively Idle since 2022, and I just want to say I love the game. Thank you for all you do and have done. You're welcome. Thank you for your kind words, Zombo Smash. I'm glad you enjoy the game. That slowness was my initial experience too with WASM, but I've seen several people get their load time for a full Donna application with the runtime down to about 2 seconds, and I was pleasantly surprised seeing that it can actually be fast enough. That's cool. I'm glad, but 2 seconds, in my opinion, is still really slow. 2 seconds to load a website? Like a website that's just basic HTML and JavaScript? I mean, look at this. I can load it 10 times in 2 seconds. 2 seconds for a website still feels really slow to me. But I'm also obsessed with performance, and I don't know. 2 seconds is what UGS takes to load on these days. I don't know. I mean, the multiplayer page is UGS. Look at that. Boom, boom. It's practically instant to me. Boom, loaded. That's not 2 seconds. This page is powered by UGS now. It didn't used to be. Quick Match is also a UGS page. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe it's not 2 seconds. It's maybe 1 second. It's less than a second. I can't get the join button for Clan Wars slot to render any faster than multiple seconds. Really? Clan Wars. The join button. Of course, it's not active right now, so there's no join button. But that's surprising for me because it's practically instant for me. I can't think of what would be slow. You're talking about when you're joining a time slot? Like when you're clicking the join button or when you're loading the page? I'm surprised to hear that page is slow for you. I can't think of any reason that page would be slow. But anyway, I think we've reached the end of the stream. That was the last question, right? Yeah, since you posted this. Fizzer asked in Molly's stream, since Fizzer asked in stream how Molly does the hotkeys for form formatting, he will get to this page later in stream. Sure, this doesn't show any hotkeys. This shows buttons. Hotkeys to me are like keyboard keys. Or is this what whoever was talking about? Who was it? I don't remember who posted that. But is this what they were just talking about, the buttons above it? Hotkeys is probably the wrong call to call it. Sure. I see a noticeable loading spinner for most of the Unity style pages on the site. Interesting. Buttons to help you format your text. Sure. I mean, this is a reasonable thing to add. You should add this to the feature request form. Before you go, I just want you to know that whether I use phantoms or not, I'd crush a casual like you in every single game. Cool. Thanks for the information. I'll see you on the seasonal. Well, that's a compliment. You're assuming I'm going to get up to your level on the seasonal. All right. Thanks everyone so much for watching. This is going to be the end of the stream now. We're going to have a big game between myself and Tex on the seasonal ladder, apparently. You'll make a seed game manually if the ladder doesn't do it. Okay, we can do it. I'm looking forward to it. All right, so thanks everyone so much for watching, and I hope you have a great week, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.